Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's episode of Hey Sister. Hey, sister, how you doing?
Hey, sister, I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Super excited about tonight's show. And as you can see, we are joined by three other lovely ladies, all women of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, as I must make that known for the people. Hello, people. If you are watching, let us know where you're watching from tonight. You are live now with Hey Sister, and we have with us the production team behind an upcoming documentary called Thibodeauville. And we're going to talk all about that tonight. And so, sister, I'm going to toss it to you first because you are one of the main people behind this project. And I'm going to toss it to you to introduce yourself a little bit to the folks as it relates to the production and not just in your role on Hey Sister.
Well, thank you, sister. I am Christina Hill, and I am the filmmaker behind Thibodeauville. And these lovely ladies that are joining me are my producing team. And so I'm going to just go to my right on the screen, Miss Jessica Kennedy Bakers, to introduce herself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jessica. As Christina mentioned, I'm one of the producers on the team, a native of a small town called Woodville, Mississippi, right on the border of Louisiana. And I currently reside in Miami, Florida.
Go ahead and say you went to Jackson State since you was
I
talking so
mean,
much
are
stuff.
there other universities? I wasn't
Plenty.
aware. Yes, I am a graduate of the Jackson State University, class of 2010.
Girl, you gonna get a whole stop. Y'all got y'all shout out last week because y'all won y'all little homecoming. You ain't gonna carry that over into this
Look,
weekend because
undefeated.
it's Southern
Please put some respect on our name now,
Southern,
Demetria.
but I'm about to listen. I ain't going to Southern, but y'all ain't gonna take away from my sister and my girl the beach over here from a Southern night. Not this weekend. Not this,
Amen. Not on our homecoming weekend.
not this
Um,
weekend. All right.
Okay.
All
All
right, we're
right,
gonna
Miss
keep it.
Davida.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Davida Chanel. I am Christina's line sister, and I'm also a filmmaker. So it was a perfect combination of things I love and being able to work with them. So I am calling today from Glendale, California, and I am happy to be here. Hey, sisters.
Hi, sister. And then the one and only Miss Kimberly. I got my jacket on my shoulders, Wilson.
Hey sisters, it's Kimberly Wilson. I am I know Christina from we were former colleagues and became really close friends, sorority sisters. I am honored and proud to be part of this project. I used to live in New Orleans, so I have ties to Louisiana, and I am based in Los Angeles.
So yes, this is, and then of course we have Chelsea Charles, our cousin, also a soror woman of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, who is also a part of the producing team. She currently resides in Los Angeles. She could not be with us tonight because she is on her way from a project, but shout out to Chelsea as well. She's originally from Lafayette, Louisiana.
All right, all right, all right. Well, I'm gonna give applause all around for these lovely ladies who are all involved with the Thibodeauville project. We'll get into a little bit more about why you got involved, but y'all know in typical Hey Sister fashion, we got to jump into some hot topics tonight, right? And you all said you want to join us. We're gonna keep it to one hot topic because it's related to the story and she about got on our nerves too. So I think last week I referenced when Tiffany Cross, she did a segment on her show, The Cross Connection on MSNBC, and she talked about Black faces versus Black voices in the room or at the seat at the table. And we talked about that as it related to the NFL. Yes, you brought in some Black faces, but did you really bring in Black voices? That's really shaping and moving things forward. Well, a Black face showed up to the View but I don't know if she's a Black voice. Now, I'm not taking anything away from one Miss Condoleezza Rice, who is a former I can't remember her title, not Secretary of State. She was the defense. I can't remember her title now. I'm gonna look it up so I don't get it wrong. Very learned, an expert on Russia. Missed a couple things on Afghanistan. And the reason why we went into that situation that we just got out of 20 years later. However, she was on The View this past week. The topic, the hot topic right now is all around this acronym CRT, critical race theory, which was never taught in K through 12 education, but now everybody want to make it a K through 12 thing. They want to say that To Kill a Mockingbird needs to come out this book out of the library because it's CRT. I digress. But she was on The View, and she had some thoughts on how we are making some feel when it comes to what I believe is just education. So I want to throw it to you, ladies. What are your thoughts about her comments as it relates to teaching history and how kids might feel when they learn the truth?
Well, I will start.
Come on, sister.
So little Condi was a former Secretary of State, and she grew up in segregated Alabama. And it is hard for me to wrap my brain around someone who grew up in segregated Alabama, not understanding the difference between this topic called critical race theory versus teaching the truth of our history. I don't understand how she doesn't know how to parse these things out. And so the idea about making Black little white kids feel bad, little 7-10-year-olds, what have you, feel bad. Listen, telling the truth about our history in this country is not an attempt to make you feel bad. If you feel bad, you feel bad. What makes people feel bad is probably getting spit on when they're trying to go to school. What makes people feel bad is when adults are vehemently picketing the fact that they are going to integrate a school. When they are saying things like, hey ho, the N-words must go. Like, that makes you feel bad. The truth of our history in this country and talking about it shouldn't make you feel bad. 7-year-old, 10-year-old, 57-year-old. We are, and one of the impetus for doing this Thibodeauville film is because I am a believer that when we don't talk about our history and we don't tell the truth about our history, we're bound to repeat it. And we keep seeing the repetition. I just keep saying that. We keep seeing the repetition because we're concerned about people feeling bad. So, that's what I got to say about Condi. I think that she is not doing us a service because she's too smart and she knows better.
All right.
My problem too, Chrissy, you hit the nail on the head about her, but I also want to just add, I feel like certain things should make you feel bad. At 7 years old, you're learning like what's right and what's wrong. So if you find out at 7 that some people owned other people and treated them brutally, it's not going to make you feel bad. Well, I would think it wouldn't make a white kid feel bad just because they're white. They should feel bad because it's inhumane. It's not right. And that might, I don't know, help that child grow into an empathetic person. And they might not be such an asshole like all the people that seem to be out in the world today. So I was so disappointed in Condoleezza Rice because, again, Chrissy, or Demetria, I think you said it. Like, she wasn't perfect at her job at all. Like, millions of people have died as a direct result of some of the things that should have been her responsibility. So for her to now come out and make such a harsh line in the sand, and to kind of even clap back at Sunny, like, that's not true, when they said that people are teaching like things that aren't true when we know for a fact in Texas, like some of the history is not being taught accurately. Don't try to play us like we stupid, Condi. I'm not with it. I'm not with it.
No, and not when I know, because I have children who are still matriculating through a school system right now. And when they try to use the term guest worker, like guest work, like what? Migrant worker. Africans wasn't migrant workers. Like they didn't walk over here. What? No, ma'am. I'm sorry. Kim, I know you have a perspective on this. And one of the things that she said, she talked about how she feels that people are the way they're teaching about race is making black kids, I guess, feel disempowered. I don't know about you, but that ain't never been my feeling. What about you and your thoughts on what she had to say? And have you ever felt disempowered by what you were taught or knowing your history?
Well, I'm gonna watch my language because I just saw my mama pop up on YouTube. Toni Morrison said definitions belong to the definers, not the defined. So I took that to mean whoever owns the narrative gets to tell whatever story they want. And that has really been the case, at least since I've been in school. And you get tidbits, but think about as you become an adult, how much we've learned since then. Thibodeauville is a perfect example about a massacre that happened in a town that people from the town had never heard of. So there's been so much erasure of history. And now between social media and and technology is allowing us to uncover stories in ways that we just weren't able to do. And folks are a little nervous. Mm-hmm. So now it's, well, let me control the school system and start to implant and seed some of the narratives that we want. So now you're just going to completely erase it. It was enough for you to just give us bits and we had to piece it together. Now you want to completely get rid of it. So you're basically raising a generation who will have no idea on the founding of this country. So I had strong feelings about her, and I have strong feelings about her anyway, just, historically speaking. But I'll say this, all skin folk and kinfolk, and we know that, and that's an absolute lesson in that. So my hope is that we keep fighting for these kids to learn the truth. To your last question about feeling disempowered, you can feel that in corporate America. Like, you don't need school to help you feel that. So, I grew up with parents who instilled strength and power and all the things in me and my sister. That doesn't mean you don't go out and face the world and get a real dose of what's going on out here and being told where you belong. Mm-hmm. And if you're able to push through that and create a life for yourself that you can be proud of and be comfortable with, that's great. That's not the norm. And we got to acknowledge that. So I'm going to leave it at that.
Well, you brought in corporate America, and this reminds me of something. And I think you may have commented on it too on Twitter, Jessica, where this person tweeted like they were in a session and someone made a joke about the person's name, and the Black person responded, well, that's probably was who owned my family. Right.
There were two people who had the same last name in the.
Yeah, two Black people in the room had the same last name, and someone came in, oh, are you related? That thing. They were like, no, we probably were owned by the same people. And then, they went to the updates from that. And so the updates where they had to bring in about, oh, well, how you should be more racially sensitive and what have you. But, so really putting the responsibility back on the Black person, right? You got to read the updates to that tweet. That's what you got to read the updates from the meeting. So with that being said, because I think it relates directly to this, and then picking up on the point Kim made, like as Black people, brown people, indigenous people who have been made in this country to celebrate the person who massacred their people for how many years? up until now we want to do Columbus Day and Indigenous People Day. What about our feelings? And that's something that what about our feelings, Jessica? What about our feelings that Condi miss?
That's my problem. Because see, no one cares about all the little Black kids that for years have had to hear that their only history consisted of slavery and now Obama became president. Forget anything in the middle, forget any other struggles, forget any other, positive things have happened. You came here, you were a slave, and then Obama became president and you were saved, and now you should move on. So if my little nieces and nephews, can't feel bad about everything they've been taught, why do I have to care about the little white kids who feel bad because I'm teaching facts? Not opinions, not just something I'm spouting out of my butthole, because it's a random Sunday, but actual facts. If facts make you feel bad, then maybe we need to change our future so we will no longer feel bad in the future. Like I just don't know how else we should change this. Like it's facts, people. It's facts. And I'm an engineer. I operate with numbers and figures, and the facts can't hurt your feelings. I'm sorry. And if they do, I don't know what else you
If
want me
they
to tell
do,
you.
do better. If they do better.
Do better. Yes.
Exactly.
Yes, sister, do
And
better.
that's where we are right now in this society. We are leading with feelings versus facts, right? We're leading with opinion versus facts. We're saying that facts don't matter, but no, facts do matter. And we can't let our feelings override what the facts are. We need to learn from the facts and then rise from the facts, right? Because just because something was bad don't mean it has to stay that way. So that's all I got to say on that. Miss Felicia Brookins has dropped a lot of comments in here. And so I am so glad that you are with us tonight. We're going to bring some of those comments up as we get into the conversation about Thibodeauville and the Thibodeauville film. So I'm going to start with you, sister, about why did you even want to do this project?
Oh, thank you, sister. So I wanted to do this project because it hadn't been done. It was a story that I heard many, many years ago, and it stuck with me. And again, when I heard it initially, it was told to me as more folklore as opposed to actual fact. Because so few people had heard about it, and those who had heard about it only had bits and pieces of the story. I felt like it's time that somebody attempt to pull it all together. And at one point, there has been a book written in recent years, one that we optioned for this film, and the more sort of, as if you want to call it, the definitive history, if you will, of the Thibodeau massacre. But the more we've done our own research and talked to families who are descendants of victims, and the more we really peel back the layers, we recognize that there is a lot more to this story. So that's why I wanted to do it. It was just a story that I heard many, many years ago, and it stuck with me. And so I didn't know how, I didn't know when, but I first talked to Davida and Chelsea about this film, or about the potential of doing this as a topic. They both were interested. We started a little bit, but we didn't really get the wheels of the bus turning very quickly. And then, with last year's pandemic, and then this year still pandemic, although you can't tell by the homecoming numbers and all that stuff. But I just, I'm not gonna lie, I started to feel like, oh, everybody's doing stuff but me. I'm just sitting up in the house not doing much with my time. But fortunately, having Kim and Jessica Jessica being that engineering mind, Kim being a marketer, superior marketer, just kind of, they pushed me a little bit harder to get my butt out doing some things. So yeah, this, I always say this was the divine right time with the divine right team. So it all came together.
Fantastic. Well, I'm going to go to each of you ladies and ask why you decided to get involved with the project, because you don't have a connection to the Thibodeau, right? So that's our hometown. We have that connection. Why did you decide, like, I want to get involved with this story, and set aside your personal relationship with Christina, because I know that's part of it, but put that to the side. What else drove you to say, yes, I want to donate my time, talent, and treasure to making this happen? Who wants to go first?
I'll go. I think, in direct defiance of what you just asked me to do, there is no way I could talk about my involvement with this without involving Christina. And one of the reasons why is because when I met Christina at Southern, like, she's this beautiful, tall, like, goddess Amazon woman who was so smart. She's like this engineer. And I could tell from, like, as we got to know each other better, I could tell that she had gone to a school system that probably didn't support her dreams. And I could tell that because of the way she would kind of doubt herself. And that's the point of Thibodeauville to me. Like, this event happened all this time ago, and the institutions that it set up and the systems that it set up are still there, and it's affecting people in that town today. Imagine some kid in Thibodeau who grows up so poor, like, not what we call poor, like, oh, I can't go get a Starbucks, but no, like, dirt poor, like, their plumbing isn't normal. They don't have the same opportunities. But 3 blocks around, you got this mega millionaire who lives in a mansion. Like, that's the kind of stuff that hurts your feelings. That's the kind of stuff that makes you feel like there's nothing you could do about it. So all that to say, when Christina told me about this idea, again, I'm from Louisiana. I'm from down the road. I'm from Plaquemine. Sugarcane is how a lot of people in my family made a living, driving cane and stuff. Had never heard of this. That's a problem to me. And I definitely wanted to be a part of the group that told this story. And it's the fact that we're all Black women. Everybody's always saying Black women can't work together. Yes, we can. And we do great. And all of our talents offset each other. I come from a production background, as does Chelsea. Like Christina mentioned, Kimberly is such a strong marketer. I have no idea how to market anything, but Kimberly could sell water to the well. And Jessica is so smart with these numbers. Like, we have a small budget. We're working with what we have, but Jessica and her engineering and her numerical mind can, like, just get us what we need at the moment. And so it's just a wonderful opportunity to tell a story that's timely. It's now, this happened during the pandemic when there's so much discussion about who is essential. And our ancestors dealt with that same thing. So for those reasons, I just had to be a part of it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's fantastic. Ooh, that's good. Who wants to go next, and who's going to obey what I said? But I gave you a little slack on that.
I'll go next. So as I mentioned, I'm from Mississippi. My hometown is 2 hours away from Thibodeau. And I feel like 2 hours is not far enough away that I shouldn't know about this story. And yet I had never heard about it until Christina brought it up to me. And that was a problem for me. Because although my family had nothing to do with sugarcane, my grandfather, his entire family were sharecroppers. So although I know nothing about the sugar industry, I understand wage work and living on someone else's land and not having the opportunities that people around the corner may have. And so this is just a story that instantly resonated with me. And I just felt like, you know what? If she'll have me, I want to bring this story to life, because other people need to see that not only did this happen, meaning people live this way, but these people sought to make a change, just like we're still doing. Like, no matter what has happened to our people, we are always trying to do better, be better, make the world better. And I feel like other people need to know this story.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, you got to bring it in, marketer extraordinaire, master marketer. We got to get a master class by Kimberly Wilson. I see. Okay, it's coming.
Well, first of all, I'm gonna stop going behind Davita because you know what? What you gonna stop doing is making us look crazy because she's just so passionate with the words. I love it. So, what actually brought me to this project was my father. So I'm a huge history buff and I love documentaries. And I got that from him. And you can ask my mom and my sister, you know, I will sit up and watch docs back to back to back. So I've always wanted to, you know, deep down wanted to be a documentarian because of him and my love for it. When the other reason my dad brought me to this is because he used to call Christina Thibodeau. That was his name for her, to the point where my mother thought that was y'all last name. I said, Mima, her last name is Hill. She said, you mean to tell me it's not Thibodeau? So my dad always referred to Christina as Thibodeau, like, how's Thibodeau doing? So I felt like he was prepping me to be on this project with someone who I trusted, who I had a relationship with, who has held me down. I've held her down. And it feeds a bunch of different things. My passion for filmmaking, my passion for documentaries, my passion for history. But then, you know, we help each other. So if Christina had something that she wanted to get off the ground, I'm there. If I have something I need to get off the ground, she's there. And then to be able to do it with all Black women, all women of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, all of us with ties to the South, like it just, I don't think we could have scripted it better. So, I mean, I'm just honored to be a part, to be able to say we're in production. Like, I don't know that I ever thought I would be able to say those words. Like, we're in production. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Yes, and you all are tuned in live to Hey Sister, and we are talking with the crew, the team that is going to bring the story of the Thibodeau Massacre to life. And so tell us the full name of the film, because it's a little mouthful right now. But go ahead and tell us, sister, what it is. And you know, you talked about it in general. Y'all gonna get a world premiere sneak peek here, but tell us just in general what happened.
Well, the full name is Thibodeauville, the story of the Thibodeau Massacre, Race Riot, and Resilience. Thibodeauville was one of the unofficial names of Thibodeau before it became officially known as Thibodeau. We spelled it with the E because there is the Henry Schuyler Thibodeau, the original founder of Thibodeau, who was also a plantation owner, slave owner. He sometimes had the E, sometimes didn't have the E. I don't know, but but Thibodeau with the E, Thibodeauville, and with the E, then Thibodeauville without the E, and then now Thibodeau. So that's kind of where the name derived from. As far, so just kind of an homage to the entire history, if you will, of the city. The story of the Thibodeau Massacre is a very complex one, especially as we learn more about it in working on this film. But the long and short of it is that on November 23rd, 1887, as a result of a sugarcane labor strike, Black people in Thibodeau, Louisiana had been indiscriminately killed by deputized white vigilantes. And what started as sort of this labor strike, we know evolved and erupted into violence that lasted for a day and brought the strike to an end. But as we'll get into a little bit more, we see the ramifications lasted for over 130 years now, where we sit today. So right off the bat, in terms of organized labor, I think it was another 50 plus years before there was another organized labor strike of sugarcane workers. But again, as we can see today, conversations around who are essential workers, what's a livable wage, what's the minimum wage, and a lot of labor strikes that are happening right now, we see that these same conversations are being had. And that goes back to what we were saying originally, that when you don't talk about history, when you don't delve into it, you're bound to repeat it.
Okay. Well, Davita, I know you wanted to talk a little bit about that too. So let's talk a little bit about labor, wages, and conflicts, because we see that these conflicts are repeating themselves, and not just in this country, but really all around the world, in places where people are saying, no, this ain't right. I want more. I want to self-actualize. There are those who don't want that to happen for you, and it automatically causes a conflict. So you were talking about some more recent things, even in your there are recent strikes that are going on now. So pick up on that point you were making as we were talking before the show started.
Yeah. So when Christina first told me the idea, we were having breakfast, and I love food, so I was a little bit preoccupied. But the core essence of what I got was these people were working. They wanted a higher wage. These plantation owners, or these former plantation, former slave owners, now plantation owners, didn't want to pay the wage. There was a conflict. The conflict ended up in so many deaths, like an unknown number of deaths. And to me, that just equated to, so if I go to work today and I get together with my friends and we want to contest something, our boss can come and kill us. What is this? And I just feel that as we see, there was something on Twitter and they called it Striketober. There were so many unions that have organized and are contesting for better working conditions for people, because we all just survived the pandemic. And we see how much we bring to the economy as workers, but we also see how much we're not receiving from this. And people are fed up and they're standing up for their rights. And I think that's important. That's what we have to do. That's what America is supposed to be about. But when that happens, just imagine if, instead of being, well, you don't have to imagine, you see it. What do we see when the people start striking? Oh, they're just lazy. They want something for nothing. The media campaign starts where the corporation makes the worker the villain. We see with the film industry, as the IIT union was organizing, people on the comments would always say like, oh, those film people, they have it made. They just want all these things. No, what they want is to be able to be off for a certain 12 hours between the time they log out and they have to log back in. That's what we all should have. So I don't know. I feel like as we deal with the current situations, if we don't deal with what happened in the past, this is going to continue to happen. And Christina always makes the point, is this a labor issue or is this a race issue? We're figuring out the answer, but you have to know that all labor issues come down to race, because generally Black and brown people are supporting the economy by working. So it's very, very interesting as we deal with the present times. We have to go back to history. This has all happened before. It's bound to happen again if something doesn't change right now.
You know, it's interesting you say that, because I posted an article earlier this week from the Business Insider, and I'm going to drop it in the comments here, where a gentleman, and I think it's here in the state of Florida. So finally, Florida man is something positive. It ain't always negative. But he's worked in hospitality type of situations. And he was like, all of these people, and he's in these groups, and they're always talking about people who don't want to work. So he was like, I'm going to apply. He applied for like 60 jobs. I think he got one interview. I think he said he had like 9 callbacks. But what he said in his commentary, and like he said, he was just doing one person. It ain't a scientific, so this ain't it. This is more of a not analytical, but it's what is it when it's like
qualitative versus quantitative?
Thank you. It's a qualitative analysis, right? It's his qualitative analysis from his own experience. So it's an experiential thing as well. One of that he said was that they don't the main reason they're complaining about this situation is that they miss their slaves. And I was like, clutch the pearls, because I think he might be on to something right there, right? Because it's not that people don't want to work. It's people are like, I don't need to work in these conditions in the year of our Lord 2021. That's what I'm seeing is happening. I want to have some agency and to think back, Jessica, that over 130 years ago, our people were saying the same thing because this is post slavery.
So I'm always on LinkedIn, and I'm always pretty loud on LinkedIn about just everything going on in corporate America, and especially this discussion around the great resignation. And it bothers me to no end that everyone is like, oh no, people don't want to come back into the office because they can take naps, during their work day, or they don't want to do work anymore. So that's why they, want to remain remote employees. And okay, yeah, we may want to, work in pajamas and take a nap in the middle of the day. That definitely could be true. But also, I am a Black woman in corporate America. I don't want to be subjected to all the microaggressions and the foolishness that goes on as part of my 9 to 5. And I would much rather be at home where I can control my environment, still get my work done because we've done it for a year and a half. Where you haven't missed any quotas, you haven't, your businesses have not shut down, minus a few industries. We are getting this work done. So, what is the real problem here? And honestly, the problem is just that you can't look over my shoulder. You can't, pay attention to every time I take a bathroom break. I'm, more serious about the hours that I work, and that's bothering you. It's you want to control me. So honestly, I love the fact that someone said they want their slaves back because that's exactly what it is. Because we're doing the work. So what is the problem?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And
Yeah,
I know.
I just wanted to add really quickly, in terms of the sugarcane workers, another thing that they wanted was to get paid in actual money and not script. And so script was something that was used as part of the plantation system, where basically you only could spend it at the plantation on which you were employed. And so if and this again was a mechanism for control. Um, and one of the things that issue that I've taken with some historians who have basically surmised that the sugarcane workers were some of the highest paid back then, and that they didn't have to pay rents because they were living on the plantations in these homes where they were given a plot of land, they could grow food, they could have a mule and all these things. My bone of contention is, in the year of our Lord 2021, we have families that are still benefiting from the system of slavery, or the system of free, or the wage system that was created post slavery. You have families that are still benefiting from that, but the actual families or ancestors, descendants, excuse me, of those actual workers, they haven't had the same opportunities and abilities to create generational wealth. And just again, as in the modern form, it's as women, we know that our lifetime, so first of all, we already get paid less than our male counterparts, specifically our white male counterparts, for the same jobs and the same job titles and the same degrees. So we get paid less. Many times we are the ones who are caregivers. Either we are mothers to our children, or we take care of our parents. And so we are forced to work fewer years in the workforce as a result of that. So there are so many factors that are already playing against us in order to create generational wealth for our families. So just imagine at that time someone saying, I'm not going to pay you in dollars, I'm going to pay you in script, and all you can do is use that on the plantation. How does that set you up for success? it doesn't. And that system was in place for a very long time. And so one of the things that we talked about that will come out in our documentary is that period between 1865 and 1965. So if you think from the end of the Civil War basically to the Civil Rights Movement, there was 100 years in there. And in those 100 years, our ability to create wealth was significantly hampered. So if you can imagine ancestors who are working every single day, and in over 100 years, what did they have to show for it after it was all said and done?
Yeah, you bring up a really interesting point there. Have y'all have heard of the FIRE movement, financial independence, retire early? I saw a article.
I haven't, but please tell me more because I want to do that.
Well, as it relates to this wage issue, right? The whole thing about the FIRE movement is to like aggressively save so that you can then retire in your 30s and 40s. So like saving up to 50 to 75% of what your income is. So how it relates to this story, I recently saw this post about, this guy, and he's getting ready to retire like at, 47 or what have you. But then as you start reading a little further about it, because he's saving like half of his income, but his first job he got was, working for his father's hedge fund, making $200,000 a year. Don't turn your head like that, Kimberly Wilson. And then it said that, and then he got a gift from a family member of $500,000 to buy his first house. So I was like, well, you can be in the FIRE movement, but that person who's working at Chick-fil-A as a grown adult, not a teenager in high school, or that person who, again, just being a woman, you already getting paid significantly less than a man. How are you going to save 50% of your income? I mean, I guess if somebody gave you $500,000 to buy a house, then you could do that, right? So it's just these concepts even out there. But when your wages are suppressed, you're just trying to make it. And then your working conditions are such where you essential, so you gotta show up, and you making $2 and something an hour as a hostess or as a server, and you gotta tell people, but you gotta wear a mask, and then they gonna want to fight you because you're trying to enforce a mask mandate, and they not gonna tip you because you're trying to do your job. I mean, we are still, these labor wages conflicts still, they still with us. I don't know, Kim, I know I saw your face. I know you got something to say about that.
You know what? The system is it only works if you have an environment of haves and have-nots. If everybody has, then the system doesn't work. So you have to have separation of classes. You have to have separation of wages. You have to have people who will do the work for little, and then people who collect the money as a result of the work for little. That's the American way. This misnomer that somehow if you just work really hard, you too can have what that hedge fund manager has, and that's just not true. There are people who are working extremely hard, who have put themselves through school, who are working jobs at night, and they still don't have the opportunity. So some of, those of us who are, and I'm going to use luck a little bit because it's sometimes it's timing, sometimes it's who you know, sometimes, but the grind doesn't always, sometimes, but it doesn't always separate the haves from the have-nots. Mm-hmm. There are people who didn't work a day for the wealth that they have. The last thing I'll say is I'm so tired of us being looked upon as people who are just looking to live check to check. So when we ask for more money, it's got to be because we got bills to pay. It's not because we want to build wealth that we would then want to pass on to generations. Like somehow that is not a person of color goal. That's the majority goal. And what happens is then that's how they move with us, right? So when you ask for that raise or you ask for that promotion, it's got to be because you strive for cash. It's not because you're ambitious. You want to build wealth. You want to, get to the top. You want to be in the C-suite, or maybe the C-suite is not your goal. You just want a livable wage, right? So maybe you don't want $1 million in the bank. Maybe you just want to be comfortable. But this questioning of people's motives is what, to me, is creating all of this division around labor. And so I would just say this story about Thibodeauville is one of many labor stories where the audacity of people to want more for themselves is somehow seen as unreasonable versus we just want parity and the same opportunity. Because me eating is not going to keep you from eating. Mm-hmm. But that is not the narrative that has been around for generations. It's always got to be, well, if you get more, then I'm going to get less. Mm-hmm. So we could do away with that. I don't know how we do that because the systems have been put in place since really the beginning of the founding of this country, that there has to be a class of people who have, and there has to be a class of people who don't. And that's how the system works.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, we have a lot of comments in here. I'm going to show a few, and then we're going to get to a world premiere. I don't have a button or a sound that do that, a world premiere, but y'all on the Hey Sister family, y'all get to see it first. Felicia said here, I'm about to shout hallelujah. Come on, sisters. Don't question my motive to want more for me and mine. Absolutely. She also says this whole conversation is juicy. Well, that's what we all about here at Hey Sisters, having juicy conversations. Rajana said the same thing, said excellent commentary. So we're trying to bring to light this story and add how it relates to our lived experience today. So these issues aren't new. And so, yeah, we're doomed to keep repeating them. And because we worrying about how we feel about something and not looking at the facts so we can make the system better for all of us. But part of it is that we do have a lack mindset in this, and we've been ingrained in a mindset of lack as well in this whole country, because we always trying to somebody always has to be on the bottom. That's the kind of way this system is set up. I don't believe that is true. I believe that we all can truly have life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and be healthy, happy, and whole in the process, because we all don't want the same dang on things in the first place. How about that? All right. So y'all ready for this world premiere?
Well, let me tee it up real quick. So
tee it up, sister. We're gonna tell them about some, but hey, let me run this right here. Go ahead while you teeing that up.
Yes. So one of the reasons we wanted to come on Hey Sister today is because we are launching our latest fundraising campaign. So first and foremost, we want to thank everybody who's already liked, followed, shared, and subscribed, and all of those good things to our social media sites. We're on Twitter, we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, and of course, we have our ThibodeauxvilleFilm.com website. We want to thank you for buying the shirts, Thibodeauville shirts. We want to thank you for all of the support that you've already given us. But we want you to understand that, being independent filmmakers is not for the faint of heart. Right now, all the things that we are doing we are using our own resources as well as the funds that we've gotten from the t-shirts. And so we are still in need of more funds, more money in order to complete the project. And we wanted to bring to you all. So previously we had a concept video that we shared on our website and on our different social sites that had, again, the idea where we wanted to go initially. But now that we've actually done some filming, you guys get to see what it's starting to look like. So we are very excited about this. I have to say, when we saw the final product of just this aspect of it, it was definitely something that moved me. So hopefully it moves everyone else. And we would ask that you continue to support us. We'll talk about our full-on campaign, but we want to bring to you our updated concept video with real footage that we shot thanks to your support. And we look forward to your continued support.
All right, folks, I'm teeing it up. Y'all get ready, pump up the volume. And we're gonna share this right now. So mute your line, sister. I gotta mute mine too.
It was so painful that they never talked about the Thibodeau Massacre. They knew bits and pieces about it, and they never talked about it at all. They wouldn't tell us. Maybe because we were young and maybe we would have been so outraged by it that we'd have done something foolish, but there was a lot of hurt, there was a lot of pain.
My dad and my aunt always told me that our family was run out of Thibodeau. For years, I just knew that, but never really researched it or anything like that.
One of the first things that should be taught in every school is the Black Code, the Code Noir, the laws of the slaves, because therein is where you find the oppression. It's the blueprint for oppression.
While I was living in Thibodeau, a mob came to my house in the morning about 6 o'clock, which was composed of white citizens who lived in and around Thibodeau. They called for me to come out, and when I opened the door, one of the mob said, "Crack down on him." And at that, they went to shooting.
Oh, I think it was definitely a labor issue. But again, it would be hard to separate the racial element from that because most of the sugarcane workers were Black.
The story of a mass murder in Lafourche Parish that occurred over 130 years ago had been relegated to the past.
In 1887, up to 60 African-American workers were killed in what's called the Thibodeau Massacre. But the bodies of those victims were never found.
My family has been in that same spot for quite a few generations. Living on a bayou is home. That's the only home I know.
I don't know about y'all, but it makes me excited. And yeah, so tell us a little bit about some of the people who we saw on our screen there and their story, because I was lucky to be there during the filming, and so it's very different from the raw footage to then how you put it together, right? What do you think? Well, tell us about some of the people that we saw.
So we saw Mr. Leonard Smith, who is also a documentarian, who is a descendant of Enoch Adams, and he talks about how his family was run out of Thibodeau. We heard from the Miss Willetta Ferdinand, who read from her own book that she actually took the deposition of Jack Conrad, who I believe is her second great grandfather. I could be wrong exactly on the number of grandfathers, but she is a descendant of Jack Conrad, who was shot, and he was not killed. And that's why we have his words and we know exactly what happened. But his son and his brother-in-law were killed in the Thibodeau Massacre. We have one Miss Patty Whitney, who is a local genealogist and over the Lafourche Heritage Society, and who talks about the Code Noir being something that should be taught in schools. And then we have a local attorney who also is a member of the Sons of the Confederacy, Mr. Dennis Gobert, who speaks about, the labor, it being a labor issue, but also that most of the workers at that time were, of course, Black sugarcane workers. So how, we could try our hardest to parse it out, but labor and race are inextricably tied. And then the last gentleman we saw there, Mr. Donald Williams, is one of my classmates who he talks about, the bayou being home. And I think, sister, you and I can attest to it, but I think everybody on this call can attest to it. Home is home, good, bad, or otherwise. Home is home. And one of the things that really touched me throughout this process was, there's this strange belief. Again, right before we saw that, I always go back to this idea of zero sum game, right? There's this idea that in order for Black people to win, that means white people must lose. And I don't believe that. I don't believe that. Actually, there's an author, her name is Heather McGee, and she wrote a book called The Sum of Us, where she talks just about this whole zero sum theory. And so what I feel, what I heard everybody say who we interviewed was how important it was for their story to be told. Again, history not to be recreated, erased, or ignored. People just want the dignity of having their stories told and the truth to come out. I never heard anybody once say, I want to assign blame to anyone. I didn't hear anybody say, I want anyone to pay, albeit I might think that there is some payment that should be involved. I never heard anybody say that. And so I'm so excited, and I'm hoping that others would be excited along with us to get this project finished and bring it to a screen near you very soon, because this is an important story to tell. And it is in Thibodeau, for me, is a microcosm of the greater United States or greater world that we live in.
Well, Felicia said, let me go get my credit card. So, we got, she loved it. Yeah, we got Zenobia said, hey, I'm glad I was up working so that I could watch this. We got Powerful, so exciting. Denise is a current resident of Thibodeau. We got Katrina. Wait. Oh, got mixed up. Katrina said, that's it. I wanted to see more. Angela Perry says, wow, I can't wait to see it. Yeah, so this is another victimizes fear, retribution, so that they don't see the call for dignity and restoration as anything other than that. And yeah, I mean, we've been victims of a lot, child. Ooh, we ain't gonna go down that road. But tell us, we're not victims today. We are victors. How about that? So tell us about the new fundraising campaign.
Well, I'm gonna throw that to Kim and Jessica and Davita to talk about the new fundraising campaign.
Let's get it, honey.
Well, we are launching a new campaign on Tuesday. So there's a film kind of industry movement called Seed and Spark, and so that campaign, we're actually kicking it off. Y'all can get to it now, to be honest. Like it's our way of kind of like taking it up a notch. We started with GoFundMe. Now we're really taking this super seriously. We want the industry to know, we want our friends and our family to know, supporters to know that we mean what we say when we say we're going to make this film. And so we're looking at all the resources that filmmakers leverage to make films. You can still get t-shirts, like that's not going away. But for this, like when I said before, we're in production. We are in production, and that certainly costs money. So go to Thibodeauxvillefilm.com. You can click on the link that says support the film, and it'll have a donate button, and you can donate to our Seed and Spark campaign.
All right. Well, folks, if you want to see more, then I would say go to Thibodeauxvillefilm.com, click on that link, buying a t-shirt. buy t-shirts for all your friends and family. You know, they say you got to order your Christmas gifts early. Go ahead and send it to them now, child. But Jessica, what do you want to say about the new fundraising campaign and what you want people to do today? All your folks, since you want to shout out Jackson State in the beginning, where the JSU people
Oh,
at?
53,000 of them at the game to send us $1.
Yes,
Oh,
I need all
$1
of my
for all y'all that
Jacksonians.
was at homecoming. $1, and we will be moving on with this production and getting it at a theater near you. How about that?
I am definitely asking whether you are a fellow Woodvillian from my hometown, whether you are a Jacksonian, I need you to donate. As everyone has mentioned, buy a t-shirt. We would love you to buy a t-shirt, but go to the Seed and Spark campaign. We have some great goodies if you donate to us. There's a list of incentives on the side. We have some really good perks. We need money, y'all. Like, everyone is always talking about, you know, you want to see all these stories come to life. And I agree. I'm one of those people that I love a good story. But as Christina mentioned, filmmaking is expensive, and we are doing this on our own dime. So support us. Support 5 Black women that are just trying to follow a dream, just trying to tell a story. Help us bring this to life. Help us, you know, just tell the story. Like, we need your money, and we'll take the kind that jingle, but we prefer the kind that folds.
Hallelujah. Honey, we okay with a swipe too.
We surely will. We surely will. I will
okay
hand
with
over the
swipe.
PayPal.
We are okay with a 16-digit number with a 3-number code. How about that?
Yes.
If
Yes.
it's American Express, we know it's a 4-number code on the front of your card, not on the back. We takes all kinds of payments.
We will take any financial support you have.
Okay. Thank you very much. So, Davida, do you want to add to that? Yes.
Yes, I just want to add 2 quick things. Number 1, if you've already donated, we love and support you, and we really appreciate you. And we're not petty, y'all. So when you go and you see them incentives, don't be emailing us. You are definitely going to receive your swag too. So we do appreciate your support, and we will show you that appreciation because you will get the gift. And the second thing I wanted to say is people are always like, oh, well, if they got that GoFundMe, what are they using that money for? Here's what we're going to use your money for. We need post-production. We have post-production needs. We need to show sugarcane process. So we have to film that. We also need strong music. Music costs money. And all these clips where we can show you the powerful things that have happened in history, so we can show you we're not just making it up. We need archival support. So all of those things cost money. And these are direct to screen costs. These are not things, none of us about to step out in no new car on the sweat of your back. So please know this is going to the movie. We love and support you. We love that you support us, and we would love anything you could send our way. And, you know, we owe now. We're not buying no toys for Christmas. So put it on this movie. Help us out.
You know, I posted about that earlier today too. Listen, we got enough stuff, y'all. We have enough stuff. Let's invest in things that are lasting. And the Thibodeauville film will be here long after. Any toy, any electronic. How many how many sets of earbuds have you had? You laughing, but I'm serious.
Well, no, I mean, I'm laughing because I was just thinking.
I don't bemoan you the stuff, but I'm saying,
yeah,
these are things that don't last. Thibodeauville Film will outlast all of us. So let's invest. Be a part of something that will leave a legacy forever.
Yes, and so I'm laughing because that is also part of the reason that I am doing this. And I may be speaking out of turn, but I think I speak for the other ladies here as well. None of us have children, right? So our legacy is in what we create. And just like other folks have created life through their children, we are creating life through this artistic expression that we are creating here. We're bringing forth here. And so in the same way that, you know, you would buy a baby shower gift if we were having babies, this is our baby. So, you know, get your name in the credits. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Pay for your names to get in the credits.
Ain't nothing wrong with that. And there's one more thing you're doing. I do want to talk about this because this is something that will benefit all of us. We saw the date. You are going on a sugar strike.
Yes.
So tell us about the sugar strike, because all of us need it for better health anyway. So
it's interesting. In working on this project, I'm telling y'all, it has taken us, at least I know for myself, I've had all kind of emotional, all this stuff, right, that comes up as a result of doing this project. And so early on, when we were just talking about, I mean, it was so many different directions we could take this. And I just remember it was something Davida said, but it was just like, man, sugar been killing us from the beginning. If it was, the labor back then, and now it's sugar diabetes, so you just think of this whole gamut, right? When you think about this sugar cane conversation. Now, look, growing up in Louisiana, again, we know many people who have worked in the sugarcane industry, and we are definitely not bemoaning the sugarcane industry. But in November of 1887, the sugarcane laborers wanted better for themselves, and they were willing to walk off their jobs and walk off those plantations in order to demand better for themselves. So we have said we, like our ancestors, are going to go on a sugar strike, which means that we are up from whenever y'all feel like starting, but from tomorrow until November 23rd, which would have been the actual anniversary, which will be the actual anniversary of the Thibodeau Massacre. We are asking that you refrain from products made with sugar from sugarcane and molasses from sugarcane. So you can have beet sugar, you can have monk fruit sugar, you can have coconut sugar, but we're asking in terms of replacing your sugar cane and molasses, replacing those things. So you still have fruit, all of that. Just your cookies and cakes will likely have to be vegan so that they don't have the sugar from sugarcane or sugarcane byproducts. Mm-hmm. Everybody with me.
Listen, not only we are with you, but we need to do it anyway for our health anyway, because y'all know y'all about to consume way too much on Indigenous Peoples, not Indigenous People Day, but when we celebrate because we do this thing called Thanksgiving, which is really celebrating the massacre by Indigenous brothers and sisters too. Okay, so I think this is a small thing we could do. That's a small thing that we could do that would actually better all of our health. So go to Thibodeauxvillefilm.com. Here's the website again. Click on the donate, buy a t-shirt, share it with a friend or family member. Share this episode with friends and family members. Let them know what we're trying to build here, what this team is trying to build here, and be a part of this history.
And go to our Seed and Spark campaign. Our Seed and Spark campaign.
When you go to Thibodeauxvillefilm.com and click on donate, it's going to take you to that campaign. So go there. It officially launches on Tuesday. Follow them on all the social media platforms. Like you follow Hey Sister, follow them at Thibodeauxville Film on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all the platforms. Follow Thibodeauxville Film. Anything y'all want to say in closing as we wrap up? Because I know some of y'all is already going to be tuning out trying to go watch Insecure. So it ain't but 30 minutes. Y'all can watch the replay. Y'all know that.
I just want to say Soren Baker has said it's a great idea. So I think so Davida looks like you're going on a sugar strike.
Soren Baker is definitely on the sugar strike already. He's Team Thibodeauville.
Nice.
But Davita's gonna finish this cupcake before we get to it.
I'm not mad at you. Anybody else? Closing comments.
I'll just say that, it's something else when you follow your dreams and God put something on your heart to do. And when you think about the resources that it takes to do that, when you have a full-time job and you have other things that you are committed to, the dedication from this team is crazy because we're all extremely busy. But we came together and we committed to making this film. We came together and committed to supporting Christina. And if more people did that, you'd be surprised at how many dreams come to fruition. So I would say get you a squad that supports your dreams, because I don't think there's not much we can do by ourselves. But when you surround yourself with people who believe in you, who support you, who are willing to donate their time and their energy, it's a beautiful thing. So I'm blessed to be with this group of women who are phenomenal and smart and bring their own talents to the table. I can't do what they do. And I'm learning as I go, and I hope everyone's feeling the same thing, but it's a beautiful thing.
I want to close with you mentioned Insecure, and yes, I am super excited to see that. But Issa Rae is somebody I admire, and she always talks about networking laterally. And I know as a people, we can sometimes, put each other down, our peers down, like, why would I give my money to that person who doesn't know what they're doing? We give our money to people who don't know what they're doing all the time. So I just encourage us all, like, if you're here, Demetria or Christina, and this is a story that's their story. So let's support the people we know. Like Kimberly said, none of us are out here all alone. Again, we just survived a pandemic, and I would venture to say most of us did because of the support we had. So I'm just grateful to be a part of this team. I ask anybody that can hear my voice to touch and agree with us in this mission that we're trying to accomplish, because Ava DuVernay is another person I admire, and she says if you're doing something just for yourself, it's definitely not enough. And this, although Christina will get the credit of having completed her first film, she won't get anything compared to what the city of Thibodeau and the state of Louisiana and the people who will learn from this history will receive.
Okay, all right. Go ahead, Jessica.
And I just want to say, regardless of whether you have ties to Louisiana or not, whether you're from the South, whether you are an AK, whether you're even a Black woman like us, this is a story you will want to hear. It's a story that you will be affected by. Trust me, the people that have been involved, who were interviewed for this story, you will laugh, you will cry, but most of all, you will learn. And it doesn't matter where you're from. It doesn't matter your background. This will affect you. And I just really hope you all come along for the ride with us.
Okay. All right, Madam Producer, you close it out.
Well, all of us are producers, but I'll close it out.
Well, let me. What do you? Visionary.
She's writer, director, executive producer.
Come on with the titles.
Come on, y'all. Come on, Chrissy.
Here's what I say. First of all, let me apologize because this room has no lighting, and I have progressively gotten ghostlier throughout this whole broadcast. So my apologies for that. So first and foremost, thank you, sister, for allowing us the platform today to talk about Thibodeauville. Again, this is a labor of love and a passion project, I think, for everybody on this call, because even you, sister, have been a part of this with us. And here's what I know for sure. Number one, when Davida started talking earlier, I just had a moment. It was like, damn, I wish we all saw ourselves how other people see us, right? Because, she's always so very complimentary, and so many times everybody on this call has spoken a word into my life, has fed into me, has believed in me in a way that I haven't even been able to believe in myself. And I'm beyond grateful for that. I could not do this without all of these women. And as Kim said, everybody brings something to the table that is so incredibly important. And I just, especially sitting in this place in 2021, with everything we have going on in the world. I just want to see so much more of that. We have the power to do so much. But so often we try to do it all by ourselves when we don't have to. We don't have to. I don't have to know how to build a website or crunch the numbers because Jessica can't. I don't have to know how to hire a film crew because Davida does. And I don't have to know how to handle to really launch social media. I mean, I think I do, but I don't, because Kim does. And when it was time to film, I had my mom, my dad, my sister there with me along the way. I don't know why God put this on my heart, but he did. And he put it in me and he gave me this phenomenal team to do it with. And so at the end of the day, yes, I asked for your money. Yes, I asked for your prayers. But if I don't get anything, I will do this if I have to spend my own last dime to get it done because it means that much to me. So I just appreciate all you ladies for being in my life and for being a part of this family.
Woo! Well, child, I ain't got nothing to say, but go to Thibodeauxvillefilm.com and give your support. We want our stories told, and we want them from our voices. So let's support all of these beautiful, wonderful voices and share the richness and the greatness of who we are, because it is a story of not just race and riot, but also resilience. And that's who we are. So with that, we signing off tonight. This was Hey Sister. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you next week. Bye, everybody.